Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the Flying Spaghetti Monster, or more importantly, we're going to discuss the book, The Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, FSM, Pastafarian way that it is. So I made a crochet version of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, just strung them up specifically for this review. Plus I got another book on the FSM to discuss at some point. But I made this like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I made it a while ago. Why I made it a while ago, I came across FSM. Now, I knew FSM was a thing, for quite some time, since 2005 specifically. But I started to read up on it when I first made him, because I was like, well, it's a good sound theory. Why is it that only one specific dogmatic deity can exist? This is why I'm so obsessed with the Rick Riordan books, because we discuss Greco-Roman, Norse, Egyptian gods and goddesses on a constant basis. Why is it that people fight that there is one God, one creator, one intelligent designer? It's not a thing because of science, which brings us to the gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, FSM. Now, FSM is a recognized religion, according to the U.S. government, that when you go into the military, you can have, like on a dog tag, what religion you associate with. That way, in case you do pass away, whatever priest or pastor or shaman or religious leader needs to pray over your body, prior to coming back to the U.S., kind of a thing, right? So FSM is actually, you can actually have FSM on your dog tag as a recognized religion. So what is the Flying Spaghetti Monster? What is the religion that is based off of it? What is Pastafarianism? Why is it there is a beer volcano and a stripper factory in heaven, according to the Flying Spaghetti Monster? The FSM theory, FSMism, is pretty interesting because of how it started. So Bobby Henderson, who is the brainchild of this collected work, this came out in 2006, this particular book. So I'm just going to hold this up because it's a nice little 3, a Holy Trinity right there. In 2005, Bobby is a graduate of physics, right? So he understands science. He got word that the Kansas Board of Education was trying to have intelligent design taught in their science classrooms in public school. Now, there is a very specific rule, amendments, constitutional privileges, that you will, the separation between church and state. Intelligent design is a theological study. It is not a scientific study. Science can be proven with fact. Science can be proven with tests created to form facts, right? So intelligent design should not be taught in a scientific classroom because there is no tests to prove an intelligent design / a creator, right? There are many aptitudes of tests with carbon dating, with neutron dating, things of that nature, but you cannot prove an intelligent designer. That's where dogma comes into fact. Dogma is fact. Dogma cannot be, tested. Dogma is what it is. There is an intelligent designer. He created us. This is how it is. You can't question it. That's not how science works. So the benefit of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, the benefit of Pastafarianism, the benefit of FSMism, is that there's a gray area in between the intelligent designer and the scientific principles, right? So who's to say that there is not an intelligent designer as the Flying Spaghetti Monster? Who's to say that there is not a means of our dear Flying Spaghetti Monster, our dear FSM, touching us with his noodly appendages, right? And he is the reason why we have certain things. Now this book has a lot of good arguments that there is actually a Flying Spaghetti Monster. And that's the point of Bobby's letter to the Board of Education of Kansas in 2005, that if you're going to instill an intelligent design principle as a theory, and that evolution is a theory within the science classroom, you'd have to bring in a third theory to give the children the option of choosing. The third theory, being the Flying Spaghetti Monster, being FSMism, is why is it that there's so many similarities within our natural scientific world to his noodly greatness. Why is it that electricity, whether it be from neurons firing off synapses in the brain, whether it be electrical currents being shown, through lightning, any form of that, looks like noodles? Looks like spaghetti branches on a tree, branches in our veins, branches in arteries and capillaries, branches in roots. Why is it all representative of noodles? Our DNA strand looks like fusilli pasta. Why? It's because of our great flying spaghetti monster. There's too many what ifs that can be both theoretical and scientific. So in this book, it's also referenced that pirates are the flying spaghetti monster's chosen people, and how, because of the lack of pirates over the years, global warming has escalated. Is there a coincidence between those two? That's what's neat about this particular religion, about this particular theology, is that it's not dogmatic, it's practical, because it gives you the what ifs. Why is it that this happens and can be explained, that a creator decided it that way, but there's also scientific tests that prove it that way? So why isn't it that the creator, who is a flying spaghetti monster, is showing us how to do the tests to prove these things? It's the gray area between physics and metaphysics, and that's what's neat about this. It's because this religion practices on that. Pirates are the chosen people. Midgets are mentioned many a times and stated, no need to offend, but obviously you're touched by his noodly appendages the most, because that's how gravity works, that we're all touched by his noodly appendages. And the shorter you are, the closer you are to the ground, which means the flying spaghetti monster cares about you more to protect you. There's a lot of interesting, ideologies on that. It's pretty neat. I do like the fact that heaven has its own volcano, a beer volcano and a stripper factory. Hell would obviously be the opposite of that. It would just be cold. Hell would be cold because the strippers would be in parkas and boots and, would not be stripping, and the beer volcano would be obviously not erupting because it's cold and volcano is hot. So little things like that. What's also neat about this particular book is that a lot of different doctors, whether they be psychologists or scientists, things of that nature, have their own inputs on this. And then there's also religious leaders from different sects of religion having their own input on this. The dogmatic principle is horrifying because it's an acceptance. It's not a question. That's what's important about science, is that when you have a theory, when you have a hypothesis, you deduce throughout the scientific method, formulate a plan, execute data, and then have a review of your peers to see if your findings are sound or not. That's what's scary about religion, is that it's just fact. You're told a thing and that's it. There's no questioning it. God created the earth in 7 days. Fact. But no, it's not fact, because the earth is billions of years old. The universe is billions of years old. So how is it that a 7-day principle of a dogmatic state equals billions of years in a scientific state? Well, the flying spaghetti monster can manipulate that. Can decide that, 7 days of me is not a billion years. It is a billion years for you, but it's because that's how I want you to see it. Things of that nature. So my take, because obviously flying spaghetti monsterism, pastafarianism, praying to his noodly goodness. Every Friday's a holiday. You wear your eye patch. You talk in a pirate state. September 19th is Talk Like a Pirate Day. The holiday season is quite celebrated. Obviously, FSMism did not make it into the Kansas Board of Education, but it brought up a good point. And that's why there's millions and millions and millions of people around the world who are members of the Church of Pastafarian, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. There is not a logical reason to not question. Just because you're told something doesn't mean you should obey it. Question it. If in fact the flying spaghetti monster is the creator, the intelligent designer, he's showing us how to look at the different scientific methods of proving these things. of proving that global warming is related to the lack of pirates on the sea over the last hundreds of years. It's neat because it makes you question, and I think that's the main point of Bobby Henderson's iteration of the FSM as the actual creator, that he is the God controlling the strings of all of us, mere mortals this whole time, that pirates are his chosen people. Question. Don't accept everything as fact. Question it. If evolution is still technically a theory, prove it. But there's more proof on evolution than there is creationism. That's where these scientific bits come into effect. He used a phrase, which I really love. I'm going to try to find it. I want to say it's at the end. Bear with me. What was the phrase, though? I'm just going to hum so that way there's no... You know what? There was the note. I'm not going to read everything. I just want to see where the letter to the Kansas Board of Education was. Because there was a nice little phrase at the end that he said. Bear with me. This is about Darwin. As I'm looking for it, I think the question, it's a good question, since the flying spaghetti monster is the true creator, obviously, where is the consistencies between dogma principles and non-dogmatic principles? This was the spaghetti theory. Okay, I covered that. I don't remember where this was. Another neat thing as I'm flipping through is the, how the FSM was a part of specific historical events, like landing on the moon and all these different things. It's also funny having the history of heretics, the different scientific people, and how they were choosing against the flying spaghetti monster. But it's a matter of, wasn't it just he himself guiding them throughout the time? Okay, was this is graph? No. Okay, here's the... I'm just skimming. Hang on. Okay, so at the end of his... I found it, finally. What page is this? I can't even tell. All right. At the end of his letter to the Kansas Board of Education, he writes, "I'm eagerly awaiting your response and hope dearly that no legal action will need to be taken. I think we can all look forward to the time when these three theories are given equal time in our science classrooms across the country, and eventually the world. 1/3 time for intelligent design, 1/3 time for flying spaghetti monsterism, and 1/3 time for logical conjecture based on overwhelming observable evidence." I'm going to read that again. Logical conjecture based on overwhelming observable evidence. That goes into what I was trying to say before with science. It's proven with tests and reviewed by peers. It's not so much a theory as more of a test to prove. Intelligent design is dogmatic, so the flying spaghetti monster brings the two together. He, the creator, is showing us the tests to prove all of these facts. So, the more my mind hurts thinking about it, it's because it's that gray area between physics and metaphysics. How do you combine the two? And the Flying Spaghetti Monster shows us these things. There's another book called Amazing Stories of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I am going to read that. We're going to talk about the highlights of that. But that's what's fun. Now, that book I know is more satirical, more meme-based. So we're going to take it as a comedy, but also it's possible. What if? That's the cool thing about being touched by his noodly appendages. What if? Question. And that's the benefit of studying this particular ideology, this particular religion of Pastafarian because of the flying spaghetti monster. Question. Do not accept things point blank as fact unless you question why. Why do things happen? Why is this that? Why are we here? Obviously we're here because of him and all his glory. But why else? Is there a why else? Keep questioning. That's all I got. Mucho mahalo.